Happy Wednesday and welcome to Cooperative Chats. Cooperative Chats is the bi-weekly chat show for the Cooperative Trust. And this space is dedicated to you, your development, and really helping you find ways to cement your place in this credit union industry. Our goal with Cooperative Chats is to bring you thoughtful, authentic conversations with thought leaders, emerging leaders, and people that we know that will just really help you on your career journey through the credit union space. My name is Courtney Angeli, and I'm the Director of Community Development for Filene Research Institute and the Cooperative Trust. And that means that I have the amazing honor and privilege of working with you, emerging leaders, and rising talent across North America. And my goal is to bring you development, leadership, and networking opportunities to really help you cement your place here in credit unions. Our theme for the month of July is thought leadership. However, today we have some more pressing issues to talk about. And I'm really, really excited for our guests because there really is no better person to talk to about this. And that is the credit union spaces, the credit union industries and our own personal commitment to change. And our guest today is Renée Sattiwhite. So please help me in welcoming her as I bring her on stage. Renée, hello, welcome.
Hey, Courtney, how you doing?
Oh, it's a beautiful Wednesday here in Madison, Wisconsin. I cannot complain. How's it going for you?
It's hot in Atlanta. That's why they call it Hotlanta.
We're actually in a bit of a break today. There's some rain, and we've had some really beautiful thunderstorms. And I know you might be able to appreciate this as a fellow Southern California woman. But we don't get to see the beautiful thunderstorms like we do here in the Midwest and the South, and it is just such a glorious sight to see.
Yes.
All right, well, why don't you tell our audience, because I know who you are, and I'm sure some of our guests know who you are, but why don't you tell our audience a little bit about you, and then one personal thing about you that doesn't define you in your profession?
Oh, wow. Great question. I'm Renée Sattiwhite, and I'm the president and CEO of ACUC. I'm the possibility of people serving other people passionately. And what doesn't define me is my love for Star Trek.
I had no idea, actually. That is brand new information for me. That's really awesome. Any season in particular or any captain that you prefer?
Well, let me see. I have a rendering of Spock and Kirk in my home. I have a life-size poster of Worf. I have and Spock. I would say that Kirk is my Kirk is the young Kirk, the one that beyond the young guy now who's doing Kirk. I like him.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. So we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. I shouldn't say since, but this is something that's come up since the killing of George Floyd. This has really been a huge topic for the African-American Credit Union Coalition, and that is this commitment to change. It's something that I've been showing up for as much as I possibly can, but why don't you share a little bit about what this is? So if that way people don't know what it is, they now have an opportunity to learn and take part in it.
Great. Thank you, Courtney. So the ACUC's commitment to change, Credit Unions Unite Against Racism. It's so important for all of us to come together. I believe that ACUC can help the credit union industry see that we can lead the nation in eradicating racism. How do we do that? Well, we're people helping people. That's what we do. Credit unions love people. That's what we do. And so this commitment to change is trying to galvanize our industry to be very impactful and intentional about leveling the playing field for people of all colors and to make sure that we can show America this is how we do it. People helping people, one person at a time. And so I believe that as credit union professionals, practitioners of people helping people in the financial industry, that we have an opportunity to level that playing field with the products and services that credit unions can offer to the community.
So The African American Credit Union Coalition is not new. About how long has your organization been around?
We were granted our 501c3 status April of 2003. So,
Okay.
but the founding members of ACUC were getting together about 5 years prior to that. So a little over 20 years.
Okay. So since everything has kind of come to this, I would say, culmination of where we are today, what has allyship really looked like for AACUC? And what has helped you grow, and how can we continue to provide that for this group?
Courtney, that's a very good question. One of the reasons why ACC still stands is because of the allies. The partnerships with Filene, the partnerships with CUNA, CUNA Mutual Group, CUES, NAFQ, Inclusive, NowCup, you name it, and the industries are there. The industry trade organizations and credit unions are just rallying behind us. It looks as though, from an ally standpoint, what I love is people are being very intentional. Credit union leaders are saying, "Renee, how can we help? What can we do?" And they want it spelled out for them. I can't tell you how many town hall calls I've been on, how many Zoom calls I've been allowed to participate in, and to give the perspective of what does that look like? How can we help? And so I'm encouraged by our allies in that I believe that, again, we're people helping people, and so when you rally around a concept of fairness, you can only do good. And so our allies are doing great work in terms of finding out what can they do, and then supporting ACUC and some of our services that we can also help encourage the credit union industry to do more and to do different things. So
Yeah.
thinking outside of the box, it's doing things that are unexpected. Several organizations and credit unions have sent in financial contributions, have offered in-kind contributions. So all of this really culminates into, again, people helping people. You'll hear that as a theme for me. And so again, with me being the possibility of people serving other people passionately and our allies showing up in that fashion, it makes the difference. Having this opportunity to speak with you, and thank you so much for even thinking of for me to do that, because there's a young generation that needs to know as well. So thank you for allowing me to use your platform to do that.
Oh, it's an honor to have you here. So thank you so much for joining us. So all of this has been super positive, except some of this conversation is not always easy to have. And I think there's a lot of work ahead. And so I'm curious, what are some of the tough pills that we as an industry have to swallow before we can really start to even make personal change, as well as change within our teams and within our greater organizations?
The first thing we have to do is to be cognizant that there is a problem. Instead of saying, well, that happened 400 years ago. We're not still suffering from that. Well, but yes, we are. The way that the nation was built, the way that the laws were constructed, they were purposeful in making sure that they kept people down. And I'm going to say it's more about, I like to think it's more about economics. And so the pills that we have to swallow is that we have to admit that there is a problem, that there is an unequal balance, that not all things are equal for all people. So many demonstrations of that, unfortunately, in the credit union movement as well. And so just one, being honest and open about, yes, there is a problem. A lot of times people who have privilege don't want to see it, because then it might mean that their privilege would dissipate. And so I get that, right? Like, I understand that if I'm the one in charge, I may not want to release some of my power. But I promise you, in the end, it makes for a better world. It makes for a better country. It makes for better relationships. And so from that standpoint, the bitter pill to swallow is, one, can you do self-reflection for yourself? When you're doing your self-reflection, be gentle with yourself, because this didn't just happen overnight, and it's not going to go away overnight. But we have to be intentional, but we have to be honest. So I think the most important pill that's hard is admitting that you've been an aggressor of sorts. So that you've been a participant. And I think that one of the reasons why ACUC has taken the stand that we're taking with the commitment to change is because we felt like after the murder of George Floyd, that if we didn't, we would be complicit if we didn't say anything. And so I think that the industry, I think that America is ready to hear a different story. We're ready to see different images.
Yeah, one of the themes that I've been hearing in a lot of the sessions that I've attended for a commitment to change is this idea of being intentional. And, some of the topics that came up surrounding that, I think, is something that I'm curious if is crossing credit union leaders' minds, especially in marketing teams, is this notion of, do we remain silent? Do we say something? If we're touting diversity, does it really matter if we're not being inclusive? And that's one of my biggest questions is, it's one thing to have different perspectives and people of different races working within your organizations, but are we actually including them in the conversations? And I don't know if there's an answer to this question, but I'm curious, what's a place to start with inclusion if that's really an area that an organization needs to focus on?
So the way to start is if you don't have everybody at the table, if you look around the table and you see that it's only that it only looks like you, then you're not diverse. So that means you need to include some other people. I mean, that's real easy. You can do the C test, the I test, right? So when you're looking at how to be inclusive, again, that's that word intentional. What does that look like? And intentional means that you are deliberately looking at a group of people that you want to include so that you are not missing anybody. The representation that we can get as credit union people is extraordinary. And so, unfortunately, everybody has biases. You're going to have those. That's natural. You're human. It's the work comes in trying to make sure that you're overcoming those biases, that you can articulate and say, oh, you know what? I was biased about that. Maybe I need to change my thought process, or maybe I can have a conversation with someone who can help me see it a different way. So inclusion can look differently at different organizations. I think that we always automatically go to race. It doesn't automatically mean it's about race. It might mean that there's not enough women in the room. There have been some challenges that I've had where it hasn't been about my race. It's been because I'm a woman. I happen to think that I'm a fairly confident person, and some people say that that's aggressive. I love it when someone says, you're assertive. Yes, that's the proper word for what I would describe myself as an assertive woman, not an aggressive woman, and certainly not an angry Black woman.
All right, Renee. Well, I do have one final question for you, and this is one that's come up in discussions that I've had with emerging leaders over the last few months, and that is, how do we have this conversation with our leadership teams when maybe they're not ready to have the conversation, but there's really a drive and a passion for that individual to have the conversation anyways?
So I'm going to answer this as if I were 20 years younger. So getting ready to be 60 years old, that would make me almost 40. And I remember I was with ACUC when I was 39 years old. So I've been around since I was 39. And when I was much younger, I was very impatient. And I had conversations whether people wanted to have them or not. I'm telling you now that that's not a good way to do things. Learn from my mistakes. I think that you have to lead with your heart, and when you request the meeting, that's how you say it. This is on my heart. That way, it's not from your head, and people will give you more leeway, if you will, to lean in and listen. I think that when you say, I'm disturbed and I really want to talk to you about this. It's affecting me personally. When you give it that framework, we're credit union people helping people. No one is going to not want to talk to you if you say you're in pain or that you're hurting. And so if you start with that instead, and make sure that you're not using an accusatory or a blaming voice, that you're seeking help, you're seeking assistance. And so if it's framed that way, if your tone is that way, and that's not to say subservient, but you're asking for assistance, I really want you to hear what I have to say, because this concerns me, and this is how it can affect our credit union. So often you want to bring it back to, what's the bottom line? The bottom line is, we are here to serve our members. So how do we do that? And if we can be inclusive and intentional about making sure that everyone feels comfortable and welcome, we're winning.
Wonderful. Well, I am going to go ahead and wrap it up, but I would love to give you the final word. That's what we do here on Cooperative Chats, is we give our guests the last word. So any final parting words of wisdom or thoughts that you would like to share with the audience?
Especially because your audience are younger professionals, do you be intentional, have fun, be out there, get it done. I wish I could bring my 20 years back and do it over again, but I'd have more fun. So enjoy your time, do what you need to do, but take care of yourself, be intentional, and always, always, always remember that you are part of the human race.
Well, thank you so much, Renee. It's such an honor to have you here. And thank you so much for really leading the charge with this commitment to change, and being so welcoming of bringing everyone on board. I know that every time I join one of those sessions, I not only learn something new, but I have to reapply any mascara that I may have put on my face, because the stories are so powerful, and they're definitely life-changing, and they're definitely just world-shattering, and just, it's amazing to be part of it. So thank you so much. All right, so Cooperative Trust, we are going to go ahead and bring it on back to our closing remarks. So one, thank you so much for joining us. It was such an honor to have Renee on the show. If you have any questions or you'd like to be connected with the African American Credit Union Coalition, feel free to reach out to me or to Renee. I'm sorry, Renee, I don't know your email address by heart, but we'll make sure that we get it up here on the comments of the section of the chat, so that people can reach out to you if they have any questions whatsoever. But again, thank you so much for joining us today for this very special episode, as we really dove into very, very special and important topics on credit unions' commitment to change. We're here, and we're here to support our Black, African American, Indigenous, all people of color. So if you have any questions, if you have any feedback for us, let us know our blind spots, because we're here to serve you. And last but certainly not least, I would like to leave you with this. It is the note that our next episode will be August 5th, and that will be with the CEO of the Defense Credit Union Council's, Tony Hernandez. So we'll be introducing a brand new theme for the month of August, which I'm super excited about. So please make sure you join us. It is August 5th at 1:30 p.m. Central live, or catch us later on Facebook, Instagram, or on YouTube. And we'll see you later. Thanks so much, everyone.